treatment lasts forever, right? They don't heal you. They want you to come back. Don't forget, next month, come back. And so, you know, that's the difference. We are in for the cure, and so there's no mistakes in our treatment.
So if someone was going to come to you, let's say they came to you for a heart condition or diabetes or something that's, let's say diabetes, that's an ongoing thing that didn't just happen as a broken leg. How do you do your practice? How do you work with someone? What is your protocol?
Well, we kind of developed some questions or protocol that we use, and we call it the restoration process. And the first part of the restoration process is Ho'oponopono, or we call it the so-called equivalent to the medical interview. So we sit down like we're doing now, and I ask you questions of very simple questions. Usually they're personal questions. A little bit of the Ho'oponopono, the medical interview, is basically getting to know you and getting a little bit of background, and then getting an impression about your sickness. Why are you sick? You know, why do you have, quote, cancer? And so through the interview, you start getting, you know, impressions. You know, as you speak, as the patient or the one who's sick begins to mention all of these things, then comes through your experience, then comes your impression. But you see, impression is not deep enough. We call it, we go deeper, and we call it discernment. Discernment is when you actually know the person and you can see the person for what he is through the spiritual side. A girl comes and says, "Oh, this is what's wrong with him or her." And so it's like knowing through conversation what this person is. Discernment. And discernment is different because it's usually a spiritual gift. And there are some things in the practice where some things are spiritual, some things are physical. That is spiritual.
Hard to separate them as well, don't you think?
Sometimes, but anytime you, like for us, when we were through doing a mixture or a combination, say someone has ulcers or arthritis, or whatever the sickness is, it doesn't matter. This is the combination. Okay, so we do the combination and we're finished. Now, that's the physical part. Now, if we seal it with pule or with prayer, now we've brought in a third member, and that's the source. And so it becomes sacred because he's into it too.
So what about helping the client or getting your person that's come in to be able to change their life to maintain the balance of health that you're bringing to them by giving them, you know, this herb? It's going to help them in the moment, and then to continue the process. What I know that you have something that you do. Would you share that with us?
You see, sometimes it's a tragedy because, you know, the person is ill because he or she comes from a certain environment, and no matter what you say to the person, he or she cannot remove himself or herself from that environment, like an abusive home. Or where am I going then?
Right.
Well, I don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
And so you see, sometimes it's difficult to say you need to remove yourself from this destructive environment. And so the answer many times is, but where am I going? I have nowhere to go. And so it's really hurtful,
Right.
but you can only do so much.
Right. But so you work on the whole, obviously the whole
Yes, the
being.
whole-
We're not working
100%.
just on the physical element
Yes.
of what's created this. And so you give them a deeper perspective of what's really going on. Are they willing to listen? Have a lot of clients come from trying other types of medicine before they've reached you using La'au Lapa'au?
Many, you see, many people they're out there in the community, they don't know that there is another method.
Right.
And so you can't blame them. You know, they've been brought up like we have in the beginning. If you're sick, go to the doctor.
Right.
And so that's it. You know, they're sick, they go to the doctor.
Right.
They don't know that there's something else other than prescription drugs or slash burn, you know, and chemical therapy. That there is something else that you can do, and that's medicinal herbs. Until we educate them.
Right.
And so stations or, you know, this conversation that we're doing, hopefully, you know, sharing the knowledge to those out there in the public so that they'll know that, geez, I didn't know there's another
Right.
way.
There's alternatives.
I didn't know that we could do that. Jeez. And so those who come, you know, who call, a lot of those who are ill have already been through like chemotherapy, radiation, and they've been cut up, sliced up, whatever, and it hasn't worked. And sometimes they're down to their last nickel and dime. And but they come. Others, they've been referred, you know,
Right.
or they pick up as a promotionals or through word of mouth from, you know, from others. And that's how, you know, that's how I get to know them.
Right.
They get to know me, but it's that's how the word is passed along.
It's like one person at a time.
Yeah.
So you brought something to share with us, and we'd love to have you share it with us.
Well, yeah, it's just a simple, natural mineral,
Okay.
but it has to do with cleansing. And many people get sick because they forget to cleanse themselves.
Well, what do you mean by cleansing? How deep?
Cleansing is like, I usually ask my students, okay, students, how many times do you take a shower? And they say, well, at least once a day. I said, very good. So if there's 365 days, you mean to tell me you take 365 showers? And so, you know, it never occurred to them, oh, 365 showers. And they said, well, yes, we took a shower. That's a whole year, 365 times. I said, yeah, can you imagine that? Can you believe that your skin is still on? And so the point that, you know, I'm about to make is, okay, now how many of you take a shower internally?
Right.
Raise your hands. None? None? Wow.
Perhaps I've never even heard of doing
Yes.
internal cleansing.
And so, you know, they say, oh, well, Kumu, what's that? How can we clean inside? And so then we start the conversation. That's where some of these, you know, natural cleansers come in. And so I just brought, I think, well, one or two.
I think you have it right next to you.
Oh, okay. This is just, and if I show it to you, you know what it is.
This is salt.
Yep, just natural sea salt. We call it Hawaiian salt. They got two kinds. One is, you know, crystals, a rock salt. This one is salt that's from the great salt ponds in Hanapepe. So you see, it's a little pinkish.